Hello, dear ones. I am Zane, a relationship consultant and psychologist. Resentment rarely walks through the front door of a relationship. It slips in quietly, almost politely, hiding inside unmet needs, forgotten apologies, and years of pretending everything's fine. It is not explosive. It is corrosive. And it often takes root in silence. When we are not honest about our disappointment, when we swallow our needs in the name of harmony, we do not erase those emotions. We bury them. And over time, what is buried begins to rot the foundation of closeness. 1. Where resentment begins, most resentment begins with a simple moment of unmet need. You asked for help and did not receive it. You hinted at your pain and it went unnoticed. You tried to express something tender and it was dismissed or ignored. These moments hurt, but they are often too small to fight over, so we say nothing. We keep the peace. But inside we remember, our bodies remember. And if those moments accumulate, resentment begins to form. Not all at once, but slowly, subtly. It becomes the weight we carry every time we interact, making us colder, sharper, more distant. And we do not always recognize it as resentment. Sometimes it shows up as sarcasm, fatigue, or disinterest. But underneath, it is a quiet ache that says, I needed you and you were not there. 2. The disguise of emotional independence. In many relationships, people pride themselves on not needing too much. We say things like, I am fine, or it is not a big deal, even when it is. We are taught to be strong, self-sufficient, low maintenance, but emotional independence, when it becomes armor, can become a trap. We stop asking, we stop expecting. And then we resent our partners for not showing up in ways we never clearly asked for. Resentment thrives in vagueness. It feeds on unspoken expectations and misplaced hope. And eventually it becomes a wall between us, a wall built not of anger, but of all the words we were too afraid to say. 3. How resentment alters connection. When resentment builds, it changes how we see the other person. We begin to interpret their actions through a lens of frustration. A neutral comment feels like criticism. A missed text feels like rejection. Their affection feels forced. We start to expect disappointment before it even arrives. This expectation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Our emotional availability shrinks. Our patience wears thin. We stop giving generously and start withholding to protect ourselves. The connection that once felt safe now feels loaded. And the worst part is, this shift is often invisible. By the time we notice it, we are already feeling disconnected. 4. The cost of avoiding conflict. Many couples avoid conflict to preserve peace, but in doing so, they trade short-term comfort for long-term disconnection. Unspoken disappointment does not disappear. It settles in. And as it builds, it becomes harder to talk about without sounding like a list of grievances. So we stay quiet. We hope the other person will just sense what we need. But relationships do not work that way. Love cannot read minds, and needs that go unspoken often go unmet. Over time, this dynamic becomes unsustainable, because without repair, without renewal, emotional intimacy begins to die. Not from dramatic betrayals, but from accumulated silence. 5. Healing resentment with honesty. Healing begins with truth, with sitting down and saying, I have been hurt without blaming. I have needs without apologizing. It is not about being confrontational. It is about being real. Resentment can only be healed when it is named. When both people make space to listen, don't to defend, but to understand. This kind of conversation is vulnerable. It takes courage. But it also offers a chance to reconnect, to soften what is hardened, to repair what is quietly unraveled. It is not easy, but it is possible. And it starts with the decision to speak what has been unsaid for far too long. Have you ever held on to resentment in silence? Or felt it grow because you could not express what you truly needed? Share your experience in the comments. Your honesty might give someone else permission to start their own conversation. In our next video, we will explore the difference between emotional chemistry and emotional safety and why one without the other never lasts. This is Zane, a relationship consultant and psychologist. Subscribe to STR TV for more grounded, heartfelt insights into the ways we connect, disconnect, and try to find our way back to each other.